What up, guys? Today's question comes from Josh, who purchased one of the lifting programs on my website a while ago and says he really enjoys it. It's going very well, but he's curious. He's like, Chewy, why don't you include more sport-specific lifting and training in these programs? And then he also asks, Chewy, I've watched you lift on the YouTube channel. Why don't you do more sport-specific lifting yourself? Ends it with a question from a blue belt who's just started lifting, Josh. So, Josh, thanks for the question, bro. So the reason why I don't do sport-specific lifting is I think most of it's just bullshit, right? Most of the functional fitness and sport-specific stuff, I think is bullshit, right? I think that a lot of times especially when you look online and people are trying to sell this stuff to people, here's the deal, right? The stuff that a lot of times has been proven to work over and over and over again, it's so boring, right? It's just because we already know. It's not anything new to us, right? So we're drawn to the novelty. It's like dieting. There are like 1,000,001 different diets out there. And, again, we can basically say the same thing, that if you eat with moderation, you go into a caloric deficit, you exercise a little bit, you're going to lose weight. Now, the way that you achieve that is a little different, right? You got people say, you need to only eat meat. This is the one and only thing you need to do. Or you need to, not ever eat meat, or you need to eat this way. 1,000,000 different ways. And they do the same thing with lifting. It's like, oh no, the squat, it's not functional. You need to squat with one leg, and while you're doing a press at the same time, and you're holding out a cable, and just crazy exercises. Just crazy bizarre stuff, and somehow it's supposed to be functional. Now, back in 20 years ago, it wasn't on TikTok or Instagram because we didn't have that stuff. It was in magazines. And back in the day, I remember coming across one of these magazines that had the Jiu-Jitsu workout, right? And I followed this stupid workout that was supposed to help me be more functional for my sport. And what ended up happening was I got damn tendonitis like nobody's business, and it hurt, and I was injured, and I couldn't train. I remember I came into the weightlifting gym, and I'm rubbing my elbows, and my old mentor, sort of like a gym lifting life mentor of sorts, right? He just sort of took me under his wing. I come in there and rubbing my elbows, and he sees it. He goes, Nicky, he's like, what's wrong with you? Because I'm 19 or 20 at the time. I shouldn't be rubbing my elbows. I should be basically throw me up against a damn brick wall, and I'll come back the next day, I'm recovered. So I'm hurt, I'm injured, right? And he says, what's wrong with you? And I told him about what's going on, and I told him about this lifting program I had been doing. And, again, he doesn't know anything about jiu-jitsu, but he's just sort of scratching his head a little bit. He goes, Nicky, he said, I don't know any of that stuff, but you're already doing those movements in jiu-jitsu all the time. Maybe in the gym you should do something else. Common sense right there, right? But it ain't so common. And so he said that, and it was like, damn, that was smart, right? And so I have always focused my lifting from that point on, and I've done some sport-specific stuff. Like there's a guy named Phil DeRue who has some good stuff, and I've done his program before, and I think it was intelligently designed. I'll talk about why I don't use it to this day, but he's good, right? And there's some other good guys out there. Not all sport-specific stuff's bad. Just a lot of it that you see on the internet and the influencer stuff is absolute garbage. But again, there's some good stuff out there. But from that time, I have always focused lifting around basically 4 points, and this is my hierarchy of lifting. I'll share it with you very quickly. Number 1 is injury prevention. I've always been focused on trying to keep my bucket of bones together. And for being a grappler for 24 years, I've had relatively few injuries, and I feel pretty damn good. I know that I see these people online, they'll say, I train jiu-jitsu, oh, my body's broken, I'm destroyed. Of course, I've had injuries and stuff like that. You're not going to do an athletic sport and not. But I tell you what, I feel pretty damn good. And I actually, at this point, I'm 39 right now. I feel better at 39 than I did when I was 29. I don't say that with any hyperbole. I've figured out different ways to lift. I've figured out different ways to stretch. I modulate or undulate my training to be more intense some days, and I lay off of it other days. I feel better than I did. I've been injured less as a 30-year-old than I was as a 20-year-old. I had more surgeries at 20 than I did. I have no surgeries, knock on wood somewhere, at 30, from 30 to 39. So I feel great, right? And I think a big part of that was lifting and focusing lifting, not necessarily for pure performance, but for keeping my bucket of bones together, for including things like upper back work to help fight off these overly tight pecs, to include some hip extension, different exercises for the hip to make sure I have good functional movement there. Also making sure that I strengthen my legs so that they can take the pounding and the tugging that comes from all the stuff that we're doing in jiu-jitsu and not having them rip off, right? And so again, I've been relatively healthy overall, and I think a big reason for it is that type of lifting. Again, which doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going pure performance. The other reason I lift is for aesthetics. I just want to look sexy for my wife. I want to look good with my t-shirt off. Who doesn't? And again, that's one of the reasons why I do it. And typically speaking, I found that I've got better results for just looking better by doing more traditional style lifting, right? Also, going back to the idea of functional. What's not functional about squatting? What's not functional about pressing stuff over your head or doing a lunge? All it's functional. If you want to, you can give it purpose with the gym that you're in. You go roll, that you give that strength purpose. The third thing is that I got to like it, right? I got to enjoy the style of lifting that I'm doing, because if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it. It's as simple as that. For, I think I heard someone say, the compliance is the science, right? If you want to whatever diet you go on, whatever workout program you go on, whatever it is that you do, the most important thing that you do is, if you get the program, is follow it to a T and actually do it. You'll get all kinds of results, even if it's not even a good program. If you just follow a program and do something, you'll get some results. And so again, it's very important that I enjoy it, because if I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it. Going back to Phil Duru's stuff, I just didn't enjoy the program. It's a good program, and if you want to go more sports specific, good stuff. And he has some stuff to help prevent injuries as well. It's a good program. I don't want to make it sound like it's not. I just didn't prefer it. That's it. Right? Actually a good program. And so again, I just didn't enjoy it, so I used a different program. I have my coach make up my own programs for me, and I have my own unique programs for my life and everything else that I'm doing, and I lift 4 to 5 days a week. And then the last thing for me is performance. Now, most people, performance is at the top of their thoughts, right? For me, it's at the bottom. I believe that it will come as a byproduct. As I said, I will learn how to use the strength that I have and give it purpose in the gym. And again, I think that as I keep myself injury-free, that in turn, it will make my performance better. And then whenever I have a competition coming up and I know I need to be in a little bit better shape, I might include some other specific exercises and things like that to, increase my cardio, things of that nature. But otherwise, my performance will come as a byproduct of me just staying active, lifting, and being healthy so I can train. That's the way that I personally view it. And it's worked out pretty well for me. Now, granted, I'm not a, 20-year-old, 25-year-old world champion. Right? I've won some stuff like the Nogi Worlds and stuff at Masters, right? Done pretty well by myself. But also, I'm an older guy, and my focus in Jiu-Jitsu is not on just pure performance. It's on basically longevity, but still being very good. I want to be very good. I want to be tough, but I also want to be able to do this stuff for a long time, right? And so that's the way that's why I lift the way that I do, and that's the program that you have, Josh. That's why it's in there the way it is. It's there to help keep your bucket of bones together. And as you guys get older, it becomes ever more increasing that you lift. I know it's like, people say it, right? But my buddy Eugene, who's a physical therapist, right? He talks about it all the time on the channel. If you go look up the research they've done, one of the best things you can do for injury prevention is strength training, lifting weights, right? And for me, it almost feels like the glue that keeps my body together. I remember several months ago when, with our sleeping schedule because of our son being very young, like I wasn't able to lift for a while, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these aches and pains and elbows tightness and stuff. As soon as I start lifting, I get back in the program, it all goes away. It's like basically balancing everything back out. So it works like magic if you get a good one. And sort of the last little thing to add into this is, again, just be mindful of what you guys sort of consume online as far as all the influencer stuff. I saw some young girl that was like, she burned her esophagus because she was like following some influencer who told her to eat an orange with cayenne pepper and cinnamon. Had to go to the doctor for it, right? I saw some kid who's trying to, he took a tripod, puts it up, and he ends up derailing a train. He got charged, right? They had CCTV video of it, of him messing around with switches. Derailed a train so he could record it on his YouTube channel and go, oh my God, look at this. Let me try to get some views. So understand that a lot of stuff that you see online, you have to make sure that you have to sift through it, right? Because again, a lot of it's just absolute bullshit. Even like all the political stuff, we're getting ready for a political year, right? Like the elections, and you will see so much crazy stuff out there, and a lot of it's just outright lies and garbage. Like, again, just be careful with what you consume, because you don't want to go out there and follow one of these programs like I did back in the day, and then you're thinking, I'm doing some sports-specific lifting. Look at me do all this weird shit because this is somehow going to be functional, And then you end up injuring yourself, or you just don't get results and you're just wasting your time. So anyway, that's the long video, and I'm done rambling about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you just had an idea to chew on. Talk to you next time.